Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here at the summit. It's great to see all the crowds at the back here as well. So like all of you, I've been thinking a lot about Canada and being in Canada, both the nation, but also about the concept of what it means to be and to live in Canada. So like Jeff's tone of real transparency here, let's be honest about our Canada context. Canada is widely respected on the global stage. It's respected for many things: its stability, its inclusion, its regulatory prudence. But we're not moving at the speed that the future demands. We're not moving at the speed that today demands. And meanwhile, around us, there's increasing volatility and instability. So as I look back at history and think, well, what does that remind me of? 30 years ago in Europe, there was a little country called Estonia. And why do I bring up Estonia in the context of Canada? It's because Estonia's story reminds us that bold action isn't about scale, it's about mindset. So in 1991, Estonia found itself newly independent, but economically and digitally vulnerable. Vulnerable to the powers next door and to the powers beyond its borders. With minimal resources, little legacy infrastructure, a small population, it could easily have focused on defense and survival. Instead, it chose transformation. Estonia's leaders launched their Tiger Leap, T-Gruhupe. It was a bold national strategy. It was focused on modernizing the country and modernizing through digital innovation. And it wasn't just a policy decision, it was a total mindset shift for the whole country. The Tiger Leap didn't try to patch over outdated systems, it created entirely new ones. And what was born from that was e-Estonia. That was an integrated, secure, digital system where citizens could vote, they could file taxes, they could access healthcare, they could verify their identities online, they could thrive and prosper in the digital world. At the center of that was trust. It was foundational. And again, as Jeff talked about, transparency was critical to that, to create trust. Estonia's leap, it offers us a powerful reminder in this room that a nation's potential, it isn't tied to scale, it's tied to a real clarity of purpose, and it's tied to action and speed and timely action. And today, Canada faces a similar kind of leap. Not with the same conditions, but with similar opportunity. And the big question for us is, will we collectively seize that opportunity going forward? So where do we sit today? Where does Canada stand today? The OECD continues to forecast Canada at the bottom of G7 nations for per capita GDP growth through 2030. McKinsey points to persistent underinvestment in productivity-enabled technologies and also lagging digital competitiveness. Deloitte, while it recognizes that Canada's digital infrastructure is highly inclusive, it's also aging, and there's underinvestment and under-optimization for a real-time digital economy. So put on top of that, geopolitical and trade tensions, including but not limited with the US, and they have really contributed to uncertainty and instability. Trust, which is critical in cross-border systems, supply chains, institutions, it's really being challenged and being tested. And for a country like ours, which thrives on open systems and mutual collaboration and cooperation, this is a warning shot for us. Digital fraud, it continues to rise. In Canada alone, estimates reach $10 billion a year of digital losses. Voice cloning, deep fakes, scam impersonations. They're becoming the everyday threat for all of us. TransUnion ranks Canada the top country in terms of the highest year-over-year increases in suspected digital fraud. And all of these points to one conclusion: we can't play defense. We must act with clarity. We've got to act with urgency, all of us together and collectively, because that's what we're facing. It isn't just a series of one-off isolated issues. It's a perfect storm of issues that comes together. Economic headwinds, accelerating fraud, that global instability, rising digital expectations of consumers and businesses, all of this coming together and all of it coming all at once. So the good news is that in Canada, our foundations are strong, but the speed of transformation needs to catch up. The great thing about Canada is we're all from so many different parts of the world. And like many of you, I've used my global experience that really influenced the way I think and decisions that we make here in Canada. And having worked across 5 continents, I've worked in countries that were either surging ahead or that countries were struggling to keep up. But one thing that was a common theme across all of them: bold action backed by alignment outperforms caution backed by consensus. So bold action and alignment. That's what drove India with the rollout of the UPI stack. That was a simplified and unified digital infrastructure for payments, for identity, for data sharing. And it's transformed commerce and financial inclusion. People in India use UPI 12 billion times a month. It's just part of the everyday fabric now, buying groceries, paying bills, collecting government subsidies in real time. At the other end of the scale, from a population perspective, Sweden, 10 million people. 80% of those 10 million people use Swish. Swish is a digital payments capability backed by major banks, backed by the central bank. It enables real-time peer-to-peer and merchant payments. It's helped Sweden become one of the most advanced digital economies. Brazil, that we heard about earlier. It launched in 2020. It has 150 million users. It drives everything from government reimbursements to micro-business payments. It processes about 5 billion transactions a month. And it is reducing cash in the system and increasing financial inclusion and accessibility. And there are more and more examples around the world that we can learn from and use to leapfrog. And these countries were not moving faster because they had better technology. They moved faster because they had alignment. They all moved together with ubiquity in the system, with urgency, and with a shared purpose and a common mindset. And that's what turned progress into momentum, and it's momentum that Canada needs now. So, when I first arrived in Canada, what struck me wasn't just the diversity and the regulatory stability, but it was also the instinct to collaborate. And in many markets I've worked in, it's competition that dominates the conversation. But not here. There's a different ethos. It's quieter, it's more powerful. It's a belief that progress is a shared responsibility. And I saw it at my first roundtable with fintechs and banks at the table that could easily have operated in silos, but instead asked, what can we build together? And on a global stage, it's rare. And it's one of Canada's greatest competitive advantages, if we choose to act on it. But there's really no choice. We have to act on it. We either rally or we suffer. So what is our trajectory? Where is Canada going? Let's move beyond frameworks. Let's talk about actions. Let's get focused. Canada doesn't need more signals. We need action. We don't lack talent. We don't lack technology. We have a lot of that. What we lack is coordinated execution at scale. So here are 3 imperatives I want to lay out for all of us that we should follow. I love the execution discipline capability that Jeff and IBM laid out. I think it's critical. So here are 3 more things to think about. Trust, number 1. Speed, number 2. And coordination, number 3. Talk about those 3 things and then I'll close out. So, how do we rebuild and redefine digital trust, which is critical? McKinsey cite that 70% of Canadians worry about how their data is collected and used, but only 14% feel in control of that data. Meanwhile, those fraud losses I was talking about, $10 billion a year, through advanced technology, deepfakes, voice cloning, the scam impersonations, they're just part of everyday life now. And there's no standard in Canada that exists for consistent, high-trust digital interactions in Canada. Contrast that with Sweden. 98%, pretty much every adult in Sweden uses Bank ID. They use it every day to sign contracts, to access public services, to secure loans, so that they prosper in a digital environment. We're not looking to replicate what Sweden does, but we got to stop tolerating patchwork. But we're already making progress here in Canada. There are proof points here. In British Columbia, Service BC piloted a digital ID program enabling residents to access services such as renewing driving licenses or accessing healthcare digitally and online. It wasn't perfect. It drew some privacy criticisms, but it proved something important. When you come together and you align, when provinces, technologists, policymakers come together, you can design digital systems made in Canada for Canadians that really serve. Now imagine that approach scaled nationally. And that's the kind of bold coordination we need to build digital trust. So that was number 1, trust. Number 2, speed. We've really got to accelerate our economic velocity through a real-time digital payments infrastructure. It's what RTR is all about. Payments are not a technicality. They are foundational to the customer journey. A real-time payments infrastructure is mandatory. Susan talked about it. It helps small businesses to access working capital sooner. It enables consumers to feel more secure and to more precisely manage their cash. It enables governments to be able to disperse and rebate and provide rebates and benefits without delay. We're used to real-time in Canada. We have a nil real-time system called e-transfer. It's growing at double digits. Request to pay nearly grew 300% in 2024, and it's gaining scale. So the demand is here. The infrastructure needs to catch up. The key now is to ensure that we build trust and inclusion. The importance of that fraud being embedded in RTR cannot be understated. The opportunity of data-rich messaging for account payable, account receivable efficiency is needed. And a broadening access for multiple players that we're seeing is also needed. But speed alone is not the goal. So you need speed and you need trust. And that results in the resilience that Canada needs. So that's trust, speed, and now coordination. Coordinate for speed. Canada's strength, our federation, our consultation culture, it's great, but it's also a source of friction. It can serve to protect, but in moments like the perfect storm that we're in right now, it can slow us down. Look around the world. European Union, the EU, is finalizing its 3rd generation of the Payment Services Directive, PSD3, to enable consumer-protected open banking. India is setting the global standard for real-time. Australia and the UK are leading the way with data sharing legislation and open data frameworks. Meanwhile, Canada is making progress in the early stages of our own RPAA journey. So what's needed now is not just the will, but it's the alignment. We need shared roadmaps across multiple participants. We need cooperation and clear roles between public and private institutions, and a sense that the progress, it's the responsibility of all of us. We don't wait for the regulators, we act all together. Consensus is helpful, collaboration is mandatory to make this work. So, what's Interac's role in all of this? As someone leading an organization that helps connect financial institutions around the country, I see possibilities, great possibilities every day. And I also see a need for urgency every day as well. We at Interac want to be the connector, the convener, the enabler of collective progress. At Interac, we're proud to work with Payments Canada. We're proud to work with Team Canada to advance the real-time rail and real-time payments, and to ensure that it's a national success we can all be proud of. We're embedding that world-first fraud protection into the launch of real-time payments, and that is critical, as has been learned from all around the world. And we're developing at Interac a made-in-Canada solution to simplify how Canadians shop, how they pay, how they get paid, keeping Canadian institutions at the center of the experience and leveraging that real-time rail experience. So our strength has always been to bring people together, and that's exactly what's needed now. So let me close. Let's talk about Canada's Tiger Leap. Canada doesn't need to be the next Estonia. We can be something way more than that. A model for a large, diverse, inclusive nation that digitizes with intention as well as speed. We have the world's strongest institutions. We have the trust in place. We have infrastructure in place. We certainly have the leadership available to us. What we need now is the will, that alignment, that mindset. Let's not wait to get disrupted. Let's not fear that perfect storm. Let's harness it and make the most of it. Build a more resilient, a more inclusive, and a more sovereign Canada. So let's take action together, and together, let's make this happen. Thank you very much.